Good evening, and we begin with that breaking news here tonight. A major defeat for President Trump and his temporary immigration ban. A federal appeals court just a short time ago releasing its ruling, deciding against reinstating the ban. This is a significant setback for this White House after the ban caused controversy across this country and the world. After President Trump's temporary ban on immigrants and travelers from 7 predominantly Muslim nations. So let's get right to our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, who's with me here in New York tonight. John, good evening.
Good evening, David. This is a big setback for the White House and a decision that will outrage the President of the United States. Tonight, a major defeat for the White House. That 3-judge appeals panel deciding not to reinstate the President's travel ban. A big setback for President Trump. The ban set off chaos at airports hours after it went into effect. Families detained. Makeshift legal clinics set up. An Iraqi translator for the U.S. government turned away and only allowed back into the country once the Washington state court put the travel ban on hold.
I fought for my rights and I succeed.
President Trump started attacking the judges of the Ninth Circuit Court even before they issued their ruling.
And I was a good student. I understand things. I comprehend very well, okay? Better than, I think, almost anybody. And I want to tell you, I listened to a bunch of stuff last night on television that was disgraceful.
But lawyers for Washington state argued the president's executive order violated the Constitution and had done harm not just to the travelers from the affected countries, but also to the state of Washington.
What's the irreparable harm to the state of Washington?
We had students and faculty at our state universities who were stranded overseas. We had families that were separated.
The White House argued that the president clearly has the authority to impose the ban and that putting it on hold is downright dangerous.
Believe me, I've learned a lot in the last 2 weeks, and terrorism is a far greater threat than the people of our country understand.
All right, so let's get back to our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, tonight. First, are we hearing from this White House? And it would seem President Trump was already taking aim even before the decision.
Well, we're hearing from the Justice Department just now, David, saying the Justice Department is reviewing this decision and will consider its options. But you're exactly right on this. You heard from the President of the United States. As he heard the oral arguments, he called them disgraceful. They won't be surprised by this, but they will be outraged by it. He said any high school kid would know that the President has the authority to do this. Obviously, the court disagreed.
All right, John Karl, stay with us here because we do want to bring in ABC's Terry Moran, who covers the courts for us. So the temporary ban will not be reinstated, Terry, but what comes next?
Well, what comes next, David, is essentially a trial because the lower court judge here, he issued his order halting this immigration ban because he wanted to call a timeout to the whole thing and take a look at the evidence. Who gets hurt by this ban? What are the government's interests? And is what President Trump is trying to do here lawful? That's what will happen next. They'll take a good look at it in court. One important thing, this court, the appeals court, says that in that trial, evidence that this ban may have been intended as a discriminatory act to disfavor Muslims, that can be entered, including statements by President Donald Trump and his associates themselves.
President Donald Trump's controversial travel ban remains in the hands of 3 judges in a federal appeals court this afternoon.
At any moment, we could learn their decision on the executive order, which temporarily bans refugees from 7 predominantly Muslim countries for 90 days. It also prevents refugees from entering for 120 days. Refugees from Syria are indefinitely banned from the U.S. Mary McGuire joins us now from our newsroom. And Mary, this has had a big impact here in Minnesota because of the large Somali population here.
Yeah, this executive order has sparked protests and city council meetings filled with concerned families and residents. Today, some of those affected are grateful the ban has been stalled, at least for the time being. They say home is where the heart is, and today Kamal Mohammed's heart feels whole again, now that his family is back home.
I'm very happy that I'm back. I'm very happy that finally I was able to reunite with my family here in United States of America.
Last week, Mohammed's wife, who is a permanent resident but not a U.S. citizen, was denied permission to return back to Minnesota after traveling to Somalia. Part of Trump's executive order barred citizens from 7 different countries, including Somalia, from entering the U.S. for 90 days. Mohammed had to make the difficult decision to wait to return to Minnesota, stranded with many others until the executive order was paused late last week.
It's been a long journey. Those families right there, they are taking a little window of advantage that is happening right now.
With the travel ban now on hold, the family was able to reunite at the airport with loved ones late last night, but admit the future is still uncertain.
Most of all, it's really hard when you don't know what the future might hold. This happened today. You don't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow.
And this is a success story. Our state Attorney General filed a lawsuit, and we're grateful for that, and we'll keep on supporting them for what they do. So thanks to everybody and all the people who have been standing with us. We will keep fighting, we'll keep resisting, and this is not the end.
A decision by the appeals court could come before the end of the week and may seal the fate for thousands of others from those 7 different countries who may be stuck in limbo once again.
Now, regardless of whether or not the ban stays or goes, it will likely go to the Supreme Court. There are only 8 justices right now after the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, so a vote could end up in a tie. If that happens, the decision by the appeals court will stand.
Okay, something we will be watching very closely. Mary, thank you. Despite the efforts to stop the travel ban, many Americans support it. A poll released yesterday by Morning Consult Politico shows 55% approve of the ban, while 38% are opposed. Now, this is a stark contrast to a CBS News poll from last Friday that said 51% of Americans don't approve.